just, I mean, if that's what you want to do, that's fine, no shame in that. But if you're going like, there's got to be a better way, then like, what are the decisions that you need to make that take you toward, that doing something differently or better? So, yeah, again, it's a lot of work, but I also think that the benefits from a family standpoint, from an educational standpoint, from a freedom, flexibility standpoint, are really, really valuable.
Yeah. And selfishly, I appreciate Andrew asking these questions about the homeschool, and because I have a big passion on this. We had Ben Pekulski on the show, and we asked him some of these questions because he also homeschooled his kids. And my wife has concerns about what you said about the awkwardness of these kids. If they're like raised, the stereotypes and stigmas, and then we've also found like some community led homeschool programs and stuff like that. Like, is it strictly Sheila running the show like at home, or do you have like community led activities with the parents, and there's other involvement, there's other people that teach certain subjects? Like, selfishly for myself, I'm just more curious to kind of peel back the curtain, because we have a 21-month-old, so we're not there yet, but I know for sure it's a direction I want to go.
Yeah. So there are different, like, there's just kind of different hybrid models that you can do, and different, like cohorts or stuff that you can be a part of. We've tried that a little bit. It's kind of been hit and miss. And so we're not currently doing any of that. There's a lot of good homeschool resources, and they're all, online based. And so, a lot of times what my wife does is kind of going into the year, she's looking at, what are the requirements, but then also what are some of the extracurricular topics that, one of the girls may be interested in. And so, and then see like what kind of training courses, homeschool or otherwise, are available or out there. And so, a lot of it can kind of be, self-led, so like our oldest, she's 16, and she, there's kind of the core stuff that she's got to do, but there's also like, she's really been into graphic design. And so we've done a couple different like graphic design programs that like she wouldn't be able to get at a, typically at a traditional high school type of setting. There's also, again, as a side note, you think about like when we were all in school and like how much time is just kind of wasted,
so much time. It's wild.
If a teacher's got, 20 or 30 kids in a class there, they got to make sure all 20 or 30 are getting the concept, so if you pick it up in the first few minutes and you finish your homework or worksheet or whatever, like you're kind of sitting around for the rest of the class, and so the personalized, the one-on-one, like speeds it up tremendously. And so most days the girls are done by, late morning at that. And so it reduces so much of the filler time that, oftentimes may exist in a school setting. So yeah, I think it kind of, Mike, to your question, I think it as far as like what they are teaching, kind of depends on the year, depends on the kid. But there are there's just a ton of resources available for that. One other thought would be, just as it relates to like the social element is, you do lose that. But you also, that doesn't mean like it's not possible to find another way. So we have to be more intentional about that. So having the girls involved in, other extracurricular activities, other type of programs, involved in a youth group at church. They've got several neighbor friends that they're involved with, that they hang out with all the time. And so, being intentional about those opportunities kind of help foster some different relationships and look for opportunities where they can connect with other kids. It's kind of interesting. Like you think about, the 12, 13 years of traditional schooling, and it's really the only time in life where you are really paired up socially, just with people that are your age. Right. And so, I have no clue how old either of you guys are, but like, if it was just like, oh man, we got to all be the same age in order for us to talk or interact, like that wouldn't work, so as adults, you're always interacting with people that are older than you and younger than you. And a lot of just like social situation, like being comfortable with talking to the waiter at a restaurant, or being comfortable with like asking a question for someone, or going to someone when you don't know what the answer is, or, finding a way to get help. And, you're at a Target and you're asking, someone where some item is located. Like there's like these just little social situations that exist in life that are probably way more representative of what like normal day-to-day life is, versus, sitting with 20 people who happen to have a birthday around the same time you did, so I think that yeah, there's just trade-offs there, but you can, you just have to be more intentional about it.
It's awesome. It's great response. I appreciate that. And Graham, well, before we head for the exits, we like to make sure that we ask all of our guests 3 questions. And again, thank you so much for your time and your wisdom and helping this audience, just get exposed to some content that they haven't really heard much of on our show so far. I mean, you are the expert when it comes to getting paid to speak. And I'd like to ask you these 3 questions, and then I'd also like to make sure that our audience knows where to find out more information as well. So I'll ask the first one. I'll kick to you, Big. So Grant, what do you think the world needs most today?
What does the world need most? I think kind of on the theme of one thing we've covered and talked about here is to design a life on your terms and what you want that to look like. I think there's a lot of people who live their life and feel trapped and stuck in their life because that's what they expected. That's what felt like it was expected of them. And so the idea of doing something that's counter to that feels very, very difficult. So homeschooling is difficult. Starting a business is difficult. Being a speaker is difficult, but that doesn't mean that you can't do it. And it doesn't mean that you shouldn't pursue it. And so I think I'll give you a quick example. I've always thought it would be cool to learn how to fly a plane, and I have zero practical need to do that. I work from home. I'm not trying to travel around. Southwest jets can get me wherever I need to go. And so I just thought, man, that just seems like a cool life experience. And so a couple months ago, I started taking flying lessons just because, and there's, I'm not trying to be a commercial pilot or something. It's just that just seems kind of cool. And so there are a million reasons to not do that. But to be why not? Let's learn to fly a plane. And so literally about a month ago or so, was my first solo flight. I took off and I realized there's nobody next to me and I got to get this back on the ground in one piece and get it back down in one piece. And that was pretty cool. I've done something that the majority of the population has never done. And so I think, again, just an intentionality about the kind of life that you want to live and then make decisions that direction.
Mm-hmm. I love that. We're also curious, in addition to your books, what other books have transformed your lives? What 1 to 3 books would you recommend everyone read?
Yeah, there's a good book I like called ReWork. It's by the guys that started a software company called Basecamp, and it is from a business perspective, it's just simple principles, ideas of kind of these counterintuitive ways that they run their business. And so a lot of that really resonated with me. So when we talk about doing things on your terms, that's kind of the same way I try to think about business today, and the decisions I make, for our company and for our team is doing things that may be countercultural to, well, this is the way that you have to do it. This is the way that IBM does it, or this is the way that Amazon runs it. Well, good for them. I get to design the rules of this game. And so, this is what makes sense for me. So ReWork has some really good just thoughts, principles around that.
Great. And final question, what does it mean to be better than rich?
Good question. Better than rich. So I had someone ask me the other day, this was a good friend. We'd had lunch and he's like, Grant, do you think you're rich? And I was like, I don't know what to do with that one. And I think it kind of just depends how, the context if you want to take that. But I mean, we all know that there are people that make a lot of money who just hate their life. And I don't think, though, that it's an either or. I think you can make money and have a great life. And, I think I'm a decent example of that, that, we make good money, but also we have a great life. I wouldn't trade lives with anyone. I absolutely love my life. I love my family and love the business that we're doing.